It, it'll be 67.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, January 22nd, and at 6 p.m. This is the regular meeting of Monticello District 882 School Board. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God. Please let the minutes reflect that we are missing member Jamie Sieben this evening, but we do have a quorum, so we will proceed with the meeting. First on our agenda is the approval of tonight's agenda, which is an action item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Casey Root. All those in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. We do not have any citizens' comments tonight. Moving to fiscal responsibility and our consent agenda, members received a packet with information, including the approval of the minutes from the January 8th meeting, personnel matters of the last couple of weeks, and our bill summary, bills, P-card, Amazon card, and wires. Is there any discussion from the board regarding those items? Okay, this is an action item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Melissa Curtis, seconded by Casey Root. All those in favor of approving the minutes, the personnel matters, and the bill summary, bills, P-card, Amazon cards, and wires, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. Tonight, we have collaborative connections, and we are blessed, as usual, to be able to thank our donors, our very generous donors, for gifts. And I'm going to have Superintendent Eric Olson discuss those.
All right, so as you can see, we have quite a robust list, like Chair Ziebarth just alluded to. The first one, James Young and the Immortal Ones Band donated $4,250 to the Monticello Activities Office. This was right around Thanksgiving. A new band came together, and they really wanted to, their sole purpose was to do one big, huge gig together. One of the people in the band was Clay Swatsky's father, so huge connection to our activities department and the strong, rich tradition that family's brought to our school district. So that was very cool, great, amazing donation, and an amazing time that evening for all the people who were. American Legion is bringing forth $3,000 to our middle school STEM lab program. And as you can see, almost every meeting, this one continues to get a lot of recognition. It's when you're one of the few places in the state that are doing this. I think at one time we were the only one. There might be a couple others that have visited now and are doing this at the middle school level, but very productive program like the school has created. It's getting the recognition that I think I'm so proud of. Dahlheimer's distributing 80 cases of snacks. So just, wanting to bring forth some snacks to our teachers who have to spend so much of their own money at times to, help students in need. They take that on their backs often, and this is a way for Dahlheimer's distributing to. Some delicious snacks came in and were distributed by our district social worker, Sarah Welk, across to all 5 buildings in our district. And then Dan Olson, a huge supporter of school district for years. His State Farm Insurance and his company donated $1,000 to the second annual 2024 Resiliency Conference. So last year was our first annual. That conference we've spoke about here in our board meetings, but that's the conference that just brings people across the state, but the Midwest now, it's growing in its attendance boundaries, and it's just a really was an amazing conference last year. I want Sarah Welk to reproduce it again in hopes that that's an annual tradition, but so she's already knee deep into the planning for this coming summer. Resilience Conference. So I bring these gifts forward to you tonight in hopes that we can accept them, and then we will, as always, thank our community and show the great gratitude we can with thank you notes. And obviously tonight's a big night that you can put these forth in public.
I want to just point out, for those of you that are able to do math very quickly, that's almost $10,000 in 1 month. And that's just something that not every district is blessed to have that kind of support in their community. And I'm just overwhelmed every time I see the numbers every month. So we do have a resolution for the acceptance of gifts.
Therefore be resolved by the Monticello School District number 882 to, gratefully accept the following donations. James Young and the Immortal Ones Band, $4,250 to support Monticello Activities Office. The American Legion for $3,000 for the middle school STEM lab program. Dahlheimer's distributing 80 cases of snacks valued at $1,280. Bride for staffers who snacks and Magic Closet. And Dan Olson, State Farm Insurance, $1,000 for the 2024 Resiliency.
All those in favor of accepting the donations as listed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Resolution passes 5-0, and with much gratitude to our community. Thank you. Moving on, we have back with us from the Christmas holiday, we have our two student representatives, Jack Eislinger and Gabby Cruz-Longley, that are going to update us on what the Student Council and the high school has been doing. Welcome to the podium. We missed you.
Okay. All right, so this past week, kind of a big week. It was the end of our semester on Friday. The morale in the school has been pretty high. I think some things that help with that, like we have a lot of days off in January. So we have winter break, and then we have Martin Luther King Jr. Day off, and then I think we have a couple other random days sprinkled out throughout there, as well as the end of the semester days off. So everyone's been pretty happy. There hasn't been a lot of down spirits in this school, so it's been doing pretty good. And I think everyone did pretty well in finals, like overall as a school. No grades stood out among others for finals.
We also had a Cocoa and Cram, which is an opportunity for students to stay after school and work on homework. A number of teachers stay after school, and they help the students with any questions that they may have. That was sponsored by Student Council, and they provided hot cocoa and cookies.
All right, and then just an athletics overview. So far, a lot of the sports are right in the middle of their seasons. Girls basketball, they've gone 15-1, and they're ranked 6th in state right now. They're doing pretty good. Highlight on the team, Sam Vole reached 1,000 points club this week. That's a pretty big deal. I think she's the 10th ever to do it, and I think she's the youngest because she's a sophomore. Boys basketball is 3-11. They've won 2 big games recently, and they're on the up and up right now. Boys hockey, they're doing really good as a team. I can't remember their exact record, but we do have 2 guys on the team that have signed to play in juniors. Girls hockey are 10-12 right now, the Riverhawks. Wrestling is 4-16. They have 2 section meets this week, so pretty big deal for them this week. We have boys swim and dive. They're doing very well as usual. They're almost always doing good, and they are shooting for multiple pool records recently. And then I know Coyotes. I don't have an exact how they're doing right now, but I think they've been doing pretty good this season. And then gymnastics, they've done doing pretty good, both as a team and individually, a lot of high marks throughout the entire team. And then dance has multiple first place finishes and is hoping to have a good rest of their season as well.
We've also had a number of winter activities and clubs happening. Knowledge Bowl has been going on. They've had a meet almost every Saturday. Last Saturday, their JV team placed 3rd out of 21 teams. Robotics is just getting started. We have 9 to 10 participants, and they're excited to get started. One Act Last Saturday, they had their conference, and many students received all conference or honorable mentions. And then they have an upcoming dress rehearsal open to school staff to attend, which is on Thursday, the 25th at 3:30, and then their performance is Saturday, the 29th at 4 p.m. And then a week ago today, MHS hosted the Mississippi 8 conference, honor band, jazz, and choir. And it was a time for students from the Mississippi 8 conference to join together, and they worked together to create pieces, and it went very well. And then we've also had a successful concert season with orchestra, band, and choir all having some concerts before holiday break. That's all.
Is there any questions for our student representatives? Well, thank you, and we'll see you again next month. Moving on to our next presentation. This should be a lot of fun to hear about. We're going to welcome Miss Amy Walls to the podium. She's the founder and the director of You're Not Alone, Therapy Dog Company, and she's going to give us a briefing on her therapy dog program.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Like she said, my name is Amy Tyson Walls. I am a Monticello graduate, 1988, woohoo. And all three of my children graduated here from the years of 2011 to 2015. Right off the bat, I want to bring attention to You're Not Alone and our logo. We have a hidden message here for you. And I would love to see, generation-wise, who sees it other than others. Does anybody see it? What is it, ladies? Does everyone know what the semicolon stands for? Okay. People that are my age and older have no clue. So I want to do a little education. So a semicolon is used in mental health awareness and suicide prevention. You can be going through a really dark time in your life of depression and anxiety, as I did. From the ages of 18 to 36, I suffered behind a smile. No one realized I was suffering, and I got help on and off. But if I would have put a period at the end of that statement, I would have given up and said, this is just the way my life's going to be. But you put a pause there, because if you have hope, on the other side, your life can get better. And I use our family history as an example. When our son was in 6th grade, I was a year into my recovery and therapy when we had noticed some behaviors that were not like him at all. And we went and saw a therapist because something was troubling him. He wouldn't share with us. He didn't tell a soul. So we went to a therapist thinking this is what we do. Now, back in 2007, you and I would have never had a conversation about mental health because there was such a strong stigma around it. So a lot of times people covered their eyes, and like I couldn't look at people in the store. So think about this. You have an 11-year-old child, and who do you turn to? So I'm going to catch you up on that in just a little bit, okay? All right, so we have been blessed with a dog in our family, okay? Well, what we learned through the unconditional love of our dog is the amazing impact that they can have on your mental health. So we are fetching into the future here. And what happened is that I and Gabe Hackett went to Eric in August of 2020 in the heat of COVID. And I said, we both had these amazing dogs. Can we start a program here? And like the great superintendent he is, he said, sure. So we started. And I started in special ed. I started at the alternative high school until Carrie Green in the Monticello, in the media center here in the middle school said, we want you here. So that was the beginning for us. Every Wednesday, we called it Wednesdays with Willow, we would come and leave after making about 70 kids and maybe 5 staff members feel better. So let's talk about mental health. All right. So a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. And the catchphrase right now is, if you have a brain, you have mental health. Some really sad statistics. 1 in 5 American adults will have a diagnosable mental illness condition every year, any year. This one is the one that really upsets me, and this is my family. 46% of Americans will meet the criteria for a diagnosable mental health condition sometime in their life, and half of those people are diagnosed by the age of 14. And here, 1 in 6 youth, age 6 to 17, experience a mental health disorder each year. And it's only getting worse, unfortunately. So these statistics are only the tip of what we're doing at You're Not Alone. When our son was 11, he attempted suicide. And nobody really knew that because it was such a shameful experience. So in 2007, like I said, you couldn't talk to anybody about it. It was just so shameful. So we tried therapy. He was inpatient. And finally, the therapist said, you know what? I really think he needs a dog. And can you imagine my husband? All 5 of us in our family had undiagnosed anxiety. And you want to add a dog, a puppy into this mix? And he said, absolutely not. Well, we just happened to meet a puppy when she was 6 hours old. And that changed our lives. And it was the first time that my son's, the spark in his eye shone. And I thought, okay, we got something here. So we are on a mission to shatter the stigma that surrounds mental illness, one therapy dog at a time. And it was just me from 2020 in the Monticello Middle School here until I made a crazy proclamation that every middle school in Minnesota needs a therapy dog. Did I realize there were 440 of them? I didn't. But we were finding out things that the kids were saying about us, even if they didn't get a puppy pass to come and see Willow. They would say, just knowing you're in the building on Wednesday makes me feel better. Or students would say, getting a Willow hug today, I can make it through the afternoon. So I created conversation with the students. I had no intention of sharing our family story, but as I was meeting with Carrie Green right before the kids arrived, I said, you understand why I'm doing this? You remember our family's problem. And she said, I don't. And she taught all of my kids. So I was explaining to her what had happened. And she said, Amy, you got to tell the kids this story. And I said, are you sure they can handle talk of depression, suicide, anxiety? And what we found out was our son was being bullied for 3 months in the school and didn't tell a soul. Can they handle that? And she said, they're living it. Of course they can handle it. And what happened is we just created this nice, calm environment where we started sharing things. And maybe I'll have a story about Willow, my pup, but it actually has a lesson embedded into it for them. And we just were starting to see magic. Now, this is a woman that didn't even know what the term social-emotional skills were. We never talked about that when my kids were young or myself. And this is what we ended up doing. So we thought, okay, we have a pilot program. So Willow and I love to come here. It's the highlight of our week. And we give puppy passes out. So here in the middle school, there are 6 sessions. They each get about 12 to 15 minutes, and they get a puppy pass in the lunchroom or a school counselor or social worker. And they come up, we sit in a circle. Willow will go to each child, and then she'll probably plop down. Sometimes she sleeps through the therapy session, and the kids can just work it out on her. We have kids that don't get a puppy pass, but I know they need us, and so I tell them, you can come every single week. You don't need a puppy pass, because they need us. It's written on their face. I can see it in the students' eyes. And so what we do is we've come in as a support. We're not coming in to save the students, but we're creating an environment. When you pet a dog, your blood pressure goes down, and you'd be amazed how kids start talking, and adults, actually. So it worked out so well that last February, WCCO came in and did the very first feature story on us, and we were very naive. We had no policies and procedures. I was the only therapy dog team, and I was only here. So we had to very quickly get things in order because the story went national. We were very naive in thinking, how is that possible? But it did. So we were hearing from people all over the country. I'm going to share with you the video then that they did a follow-up in June to help us as well. But one thing I do want to share with you, and we have one of our teams here, and unfortunately we decided to leave the dogs at home, so I apologize. They both work today. Something that's called AAI, Animal Assisted Intervention. And you're going to see this is the wave of the future in any kind of work environment. Education, health, like physical therapy, speech pathologies, social workers in your schools. They're training their pets to be therapy dogs to utilize in school. And so we've got Sarah here. Sarah. Where did I get Sarah? I had 2 meetings with Sarahs today. We have Nicole here, and she has Remy. So I would love to show you. Here is Sarah and Remy, and she's making a huge impact on the students at Little Mountain. And Remy is 14 months, right? Nicole, is she 14? He 14 months? Okay, so she started training him. You can't be a therapy dog before you're 1. So anyway, we were blessed. This was the follow-up story, and it really tells more about what's happening. And I would love to play it for you.
Therapy dogs.
After launching in Wright County, You're Not Alone is expanding across Minnesota. Our Derek James first learned of the nonprofit's mission to bring therapy visits to every middle school in Minnesota 3 months ago. And he recently returned to learn how the project is spreading across city and even state lines.
If you're a student in Monticello Middle School, there's no way you don't know about Willow Grace. The therapy dog's weekly visits have made her something of a mascot at the school, although she's technically listed as staff in the yearbook.
Willow's just here just to love you and to just tell you everything's gonna be okay.
Willow's mom, Amy Walls, plays an even more important role.
When I feel like I need to open up to somebody, me and Amy have that connection that I know that I can trust her with what I'm going through.
Amy and Willow bring a listening ear and a pup's unconditional love to make their day brighter and relieve anxiety and depression.
It's like this boulder has been lifted off your shoulders and all the stress kind of fades away.
When we first met the pair in February, Amy shared her why behind the visits, her son's mental health crisis 16 years ago.
He attempted to take his life in front of his little brother.
The love of a dog helped her son and their family survive. Amy started sharing her story to students in 2021 and started a nonprofit called You're Not Alone. Her mission is to bring therapy dog visits to every middle school in Minnesota. After our story, curiosity and support came from far and wide.
Quite shockingly, I woke up to a few messages from Iowa and Alabama. We had a Minnesota man traveling through Mississippi who saw it and reached out to us, who has a therapy dog up in the Bemidji area. It made me realize it's a big goal, but that it's achievable.
June here is one of 8 new therapy dogs that have joined the You're Not Alone team since we were last here in February, and she's ready to go with a new assignment this fall in Elk River schools. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
June's handler, Heather Ely.
When I was in school, it was still very taboo to talk about mental health or anxiety or depression. You didn't. And as we know, that doesn't help anything.
Heather and June got the training required and shadowed Amy and Willow on visits.
I just got chills, so I think that says it. It's incredible. Middle school was a tough time for me, so I'd say it has a really direct impact for me to be able to come and kind of give back this way.
These new teams will serve students in Elk River, Rogers, Buffalo, Hudson, and other schools that are coming on board in the fall.
With 440 schools in Minnesota, even if every team took 2 schools, we'd need 220 dogs.
And support from school administrators.
So I either have a school that doesn't catch on and they're like, or I have Hudson that says, can you start tomorrow?
It's caught on with the kids at Monticello Middle. Many hope therapy dog visits will be a part of their high school experience as well.
Sometimes the school counselor might not be the right option, and a therapy dog can, give you love, and you can also feel really warm around him.
And I feel like dogs should be in every school, so like if kids are like having a hard time, they can like come here and like get puppy love.
Love. It's the word we heard repeatedly from the tweens. One of the most important gifts we can give children, and one Amy and the teams at You're Not Alone hope to spread beyond Minnesota and western Wisconsin.
If we can plant seeds all over the U.S. and help students everywhere, my mama heart would be very happy.
Yeah, they need more dogs, they need more trainers, so You're Not Alone is hosting its annual Raise the Rough fundraiser. It's this Wednesday night from 5 to 9 at Rust Tech Brewing Company in Monticello.
This is kind of cute.
The event features...
That's okay. We'll go on to the next. So, as you can imagine, that kind of exploded our growth. So he said by May we had 8 teams. I just last week signed our 23rd therapy dog team. And at the end of January, we'll be in 19 different schools. People are really catching on. The entire school district of St. Cloud has signed on, and they have 14 schools. And I thought I was going to have to fight for that one. Their demographic with the Somali population, they're not big dog lovers. But I guess it's more of a generational thing where the kids are going to be okay. So now, this is the crazy one. We are already in Providence, Rhode Island. We started a team there before Christmas. I had a young 15-year-old girl reach out, found us on Google, and wanted to give an underprivileged school a therapy dog team. And just happened to a woman moving to Providence was looking for something to do with her therapy dog. And it's 64 young boys, ages grades 5 through 8, all of color, that are given scholarships to go to this school, and they have a mentor in their community. So they're giving them a future they probably would not have had. And so they are out there now once a week. So we always are once a week at the school, the same time, the same day, to create that community with the kids. We like to put an 8x10 in the school office, like Willow has one here. So all of our schools, they have a dog on staff. We really like the kids to take ownership of the dogs, more of a mascot type feeling. And we teach them about how their pets at home can supply them with the same unconditional love when they're having a bad day, that they really can rely on those animals instead of just waiting for once a week with us. It's been an amazing opportunity, and if Mr. Olson had not allowed this, I think what a sad thing that would have been, that he's let me start this here, and this is going to be the home of You're Not Alone. And Mr. Olson has graced us now for about 1.5 years on our board at You're Not Alone. A couple things you probably are wondering is cost. So we wanted to go in, and it's no cost this year. No schools are paying anything. But we're growing so incredibly fast that there's no way we can keep that up as we are growing. So what we're going to be asking our schools in the fall to do is to be looking for grant money, $2,500 per school. And what that does is that covers insurance that we help on top of their certification insurance. It provides the team with everything they need to be in the school. Each team has, you see Willow's trading card there. Each team gets professionally photographed, and so each of the kids get a trading card. Some people put it in the front of their MacBook where their student badge should go. Some kids keep them in their locker if they're having a bad day. They can look at that. And then we are doing continuing ed for all of our teams on mental health. Most people have either personally experienced mental health crisis, have a family member, or have lost someone they love to suicide. So this is a real passion project for them. And therapy dog teams are the best volunteers you could ever have. It's the best way to spend your time is making others happy. So I appreciate your time and letting me talk tonight. In your little packet I gave you, there is, you're probably having a hard time, you do have a bumper sticker of our little puppy, so you can help yourself to that. And then we do have a merchandise store that you can go out and support us by buying merch and dog items and all the fun stuff to help us raise funds. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Amy. It's just, I'm so proud to hear that we were the birthplace of an idea that has spread this big. We like to say that we're trying to be innovative and always think of new and better ways that we can reach kids. And I think this is a beautiful example of how we've been able to do that. Would you talk just a little bit for the audience here about what the dogs go through for their training so that anybody that's watching could be reassured that these are well-trained therapy dogs, just like a service dog that you would see out and about.
Exactly. So, and I do a Zoom call every week, so if people have a pet and they would like to be a therapy team, one Monday a month, you can hop on a Zoom call with me and learn about how I can help you through the process. When you start with a pet, you do your obedience classes. Usually you do 3 classes, puppy class, obedience class, and then canine good citizen. Canine good citizen, you have to do a test, and it means you're the best behaved pet there is. Then you go on to your therapy dog classes, which is about another 6 weeks, and again, you have to test out of that. So each one, you have to meet criteria. Willow and I took a Zoom class and that's how I met Gabe. Our therapy dog class was on Zoom during COVID. I wouldn't suggest it. We ended up taking one in person again, but it is very stringent how to become a therapy dog. And we explain to the children the different levels of a pet and emotional support animal, which is a doctor can write a prescription for you, like a medicine that says you need to have a pet in your home, a therapy dog, and what we can do with ours. We can't just go into a restaurant or into Cub. We have to live by a code. I would never be able to go to an airport and say this is a service dog, I need a ticket. I'd lose my certification if I did that. And then we explain about service dogs and what they can do. And we're blessed with 2 service dogs in our teams. One is Whiskey, who is in the high school. He's a diabetes dog for his owner, and he just turned 2. And then we have Murphy, who is a PTSD service dog for his owner. But the kids are so interested in all the different levels, and it's good for all of us to know the difference. Like, we could never pet a service dog. We're a therapy dog, yes, please ask us, but they're here for you to love on them, and that's their main job, is to give love. So it's a pretty stringent, you have to meet criteria.
What is the cost for the training?
So if you would add up your 3, like your 3 lower ones, and then your therapy dog class, and every year you have to pay an organizational due. I would say that for me to get Willow through the training, I spent about $1,000. And then every year it's like a $60 fee to maintain. And so what we're doing is we are reimbursing our teams for their yearly organizational dues as a thank you if they sign for a school year. So it's not a terribly high cost, not like a service animal. A service animal can cost anywhere from $25,000 to $45,000. And that's trained by someone else. And then they're gifted to you, and then you learn how to work with them. So it's amazing what animals can do. And again, I can't thank Monticello enough for allowing us to start this here and to see what it really is possible. And people are really catching on. Yeah.
Is there any other questions from the board for Amy?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for coming this evening and giving us a briefing about this incredibly important program for our students. Thank you. So moving on, some of you might be aware that this is paraprofessional or emotional, educational, I forgot, emotion on the mind, educational support professional recognition week. And I believe Governor Walz puts out a proclamation, and there's a number of celebratory and recognition activities that go on, and we're certainly doing that here in Monticello. The board has a letter for our paraprofessionals that's linked up there. I won't read it to you. You can go and read it yourself, but it's hopefully expressing our appreciation to our paras for the incredible dedication they have to our students. And they unless you really talk to them, I guess you really don't know how close they are with a lot of the students. They're the first person to see when they're having a success, and sometimes the first person to see when they're having a really tough day. So they have a very challenging job, but it's very rewarding, and we just want to thank them for all of their efforts. And I think Superintendent Olson has a few words.
Yeah, it was perfect timing. We had training today for our ESS, and better way to recognize them and thank them, but to have them all right here. I was able to find a person who wants to, but lunch today, and when you have 120 people all together learning, and just the smiles and the vibrant pictures that were being shared with me. I was in meetings and updates, and it was great to see. We want our people to feel valued, no matter what employee group or students' families. And just like we just learned from Amy, everybody needs something different, and it's important to make sure that we have that listening ear to the ground to meet the needs of our sign of meeting. So.
And I believe we have over 100 education support professionals. We call them ESPs. The term paraprofessional is kind of in flux. Some places they call them ESS, or we call them ESS. Some people call them ESPs. So that's why you might hear some of the different terms out there. But we have over 100 people filling this very important role in our district. And so we just want to thank them for everything that they do. A lot of them work with some of our special needs students and really have a lot of connections with them and with their families. I also want to point out that a lot of our paraprofessional ESS cadre are very loyal to our district and have raised their own families here as well and have their own children in this district. So we're incredibly appreciative of that, and we know that makes for a stronger school district and a stronger community. So thank you to all of our education support specialists. And moving on to item E, last January the 8th, we told you that we had a contingent of folks from the board and administration and teachers and students all attending the state-level Minnesota School Board Association Leadership Conference at the Convention Center. That ran from the 8th to the 10th to 9, 10, 11 at the Convention Center, with Thursday, the 11th, being the dominant day of activities. If you were in the room for about 15 minutes before the meeting started, Gavin, who is our IT support person back there, came along and took these beautiful pictures. We thought we were the most important people out of 2,000 at the conference, with Gavin trailing us with a camera. Everywhere we went, people's heads would snap around. Who are they? Why, we're the magic from Monticello. You know, we were very proud to show that. We were especially proud of our the 4 students and the 2 teachers that came from the middle school STEM lab. If you want to see some excited kids, holy cow, these kids were so glowing and wanting to talk to anybody that stopped by their booth, tell them about their Monticello STEM lab. It was just really moving and incredible. Our school was chosen for one of only 11 booths or 10 booths at the Showcase of Excellence, and that's 2 years in a row for our district, which is really incredible. Last year, our nature-based programs featured. What you're seeing here are the roundtable sessions. Jamie Sieben, Superintendent Olson, and I did 2 roundtable sessions, and we're proud to say we had a very large crowd at our tables. We think we had somewhere around 60 or 70 participants, and I think because of that, next year we're going to complete this activity with a full hour session. one of the breakout sessions. But what we were doing at our roundtable discussion was discussing the process that we went through here in Monticello for about the last 10 or 12 months with the school start times process, how we invited the parents and the community into the process rather than taking a top-down approach like some other districts have. And there was a lot of interest from folks. And then we also had, I believe, Rob Daniker from Human Resource participated with the transportation roundtable discussion. So we were very, very well represented at the conference at the state level, and I think that's really important when you talk about advocacy with our state representatives for funding and things like that to raise the profile of the good things that you're doing in your district. Say a few things.
Well, I think you said it perfectly, yeah. I think for me, the biggest takeaway was just seeing the students there.
It's amazing.
The teachers and how they represented our district. And then right on the heels of that, to receive an email from a parent who shared, hey, I don't know what you're doing in that class, and thank you for bringing my student down there, but she is so excited about the leadership and education and about careers that she has never been before. So thank you for instilling that love of learning and instilling that inspiration for the future. So when you see that come full circle, and it's the voice of, parents and children, and you know that your innovation, we talked about innovation with You're Not Alone, that needs to be, hopefully was what we're using as a school district to drive our future. Instead of doing things that, take you backwards or keep you in a status quo. Remember that good enemy of great. I think innovation of Monticello School District is not only here right now, but it's going to be see from us in the future. But innovation really does drive a healthy community, healthy companies, healthy school districts, and I'm proud to be part of that and see the things that I saw. But coming back full circle to students, that was what was my biggest smile, biggest takeaway from the MSBA conference was. So.
And each of the conference days, there are literally dozens of topics for school board members and administrators to attend, everything from budget to policy to anything you can think of that affects school districts. So it really is a wonderful professional growth opportunity for board members as well. So I was really proud for us to have probably the biggest group of board members there we've had in many, many years. I don't know how long, but it was just a wonderful experience and happens every January, so you'll hear about it next year, hopefully, as well. So, and I think we're going to put some of these pictures on the website that Gavin worked so hard on. So just wanted to say thank you to the community and thank you to the teachers and everyone who made that happen for this year. And then moving on, oh, yes, and then there's a Monticello Times story. Can you click on that? The Monticello Times did just a wonderful story as well, and this is also linked and will be on the website. There's 2 or 3 pictures accompanying that at the top, and then a description of each of the groups that presented at the state level conference. Like I said, there's about 2,000 to 2,500 people that attend. They have a large exhibit hall, everything from robots, like those little robots that fight. I don't know what those are called. BattleBots, school buses, brand new school buses, many different booths set up for everything from healthcare within schools to different products and services that are available. So it's really amazing opportunity. So we'll have everybody take a look at that at another point. So now we're going to move on to teaching and learning. We're going to have a review. Mr. Jeremiah Mack from Community Education is here to give us his annual presentation. Welcome, Jeremiah. We haven't seen you for a while. Glad you're here.
All right, making sure this is on. I also have Jen Johnson, our early learning coordinator here. So we're just going to kind of go through what last year looked for community ed. As you know, we are busy year-round, so we'll just kind of go through what we did over the last school year, or last fiscal year for us. Last year, we had over almost 8,400 people participate in community education programs, and almost 4,200 different individuals. So you think about it as like everybody at least took 2 classes, but so we had 4,200 people out of our over 22,000 people in our school district participate in a community education program. And we offered over 1,100 courses that you could take through the catalog, preschool, ECFE, you name it, all varieties from 0 to 99 or older. We also had 51 different local district groups use our facilities for over 4,300 hours, and we had 27 outside the district groups use it for over 3,600. So that's over 8,000 hours of community use, maximizing our facilities, bringing revenue into our community, especially for the outside groups like Stars Dance or wrestling tournaments and all this stuff when the high school is busy and packed. All of that stuff is coming through our office, using our buildings and making our school the hub of our communities. And had our buildings were open over 300 days. I was a little light because I didn't want to count all the days on the calendar. Not an easy way to report it out. So we're open almost every day with something going on inside or outside. And that could be in a variety of different things. I just have some other pictures of stuff that went on during the last year.
And then in early childhood, we serve students from birth to age 5 and families, whether it's through ECFE, Learning Readiness, or a nature-based program out at Bertram. And then last year, we served over 284 ECFE participants, whether that was classes or special events. And then for preschool, we had 247 students on site and then 23 students out at nature-based. And then for family events, some of our highlights were Big Wheels. We had a sledding event. We had Parents' Night Out. We had our EEC prom, which was a really big hit last year. We had our scavenger hunt out at Bertram. So overall, we've had over 1,000 participants with all those different events that we did. It was a lot of fun seeing all the families come out.
And just another note on that, I said I had to look for Kristen for some data. I said 60% of our preschoolers enroll in kindergarten. So if you think we have 250, because these are 3s and 4s, so 60% of our preschoolers go to kindergarten in Monticello schools, no matter what mode they're in. So we had a lot of our students coming through our building and then just transitioning into kindergarten.
And then we also house our Magic Adventures over at Eastview, as well as at Little Mountain and Pinewood. And so for that childcare program, we've served 234 students. Over the summer, we had 201, and they did about 38 field trips throughout the summer. They have 48 employees, and they're certified, they're licensed through DHS.
I'm glad we're licensed because it helps with the state grants this year. Started with COVID being licensed, we are allowed to get extra support from the state to help offset our staffing costs and staffing increase. So that will help get revenue to offset that, but it helps keeps the cost reasonable for the families. So we don't have to outprice our families and they can have an affordable option to attend childcare here at school. Last year was also our 5th year of our Northwest Talent Academy. It was our largest year yet. As Eric, he's been around the high school, or even the high school staff, I said, I don't think the staff even noticed that they're in the building, even though there's anywhere from a couple hundred kids in the building daily. They're so well organized, coming across from our 10 different school districts, participating in our program. We had, obviously you can see we had 66 classes run with 385 different students participating from the 10 different districts and over 831 classes that they took. So it was very, very successful. We ran it over 4 weeks, 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in July, and everything's out of the high school. The only challenge is always trying to figure out is how to get the fax room utilized by the most amount of people, because there's a lot of people want to cook and we only have one space. So it's like, and somebody like the cakeology class is full. You'd be out there, they're all coming in with cake boxes, going home with like 2 or 3 cakes at the end of the week or every day. I'm like, making pillows. So it's just amazing what they do in that week, and listening to Jean talk with some of the families, that these kids get to meet friends for a lifetime that they didn't have a connection with. You know, you're brilliant and you're just over here, and they get to connect with kids that are very similar interests and abilities. And The biggest complaint of the teachers is that they don't prepare enough information for the students because they just absorb, and the kids want more and more and more. They actually want to come to school in the summer and do something fun, which doesn't happen with summer school, I don't think. Also, another big success for us is, as every year, is our aquatics program. We service over 1,500 kids through swimming lessons this past year in the summertime. And we have quite a few staff. Kristen does a great job of recruiting our high school swimmers, and we get a lot of kids coming back to be part of our program. Dwayne started this many years ago being successful, and we keep going on and running those 10 weeks during the summertime. So hopefully I haven't heard any pool repairs this year, so thankfully we won't have any. We can get a few more this coming year since we didn't have any lessons in May. Another key component of community ed is our adult basic ed. We are the fiscal agent for our consortium, which we have 16 schools and 3 county, actually now we added for this fiscal year 4 county jails. Last year we had almost 37,000 contact hours. That was up from 25,000 the year before during more COVID. The state held us harmless for every year during COVID, so last year was the first year we had to go back to what we generate for contact hours. And just in Monticello, between the Workforce Center and at Eastview, we had almost 3,200 hours of adults coming to learn EL or GED services. We also run a GED testing site at Eastview. We had 222 testing appointments and several graduates. So it's amazing what you see coming in to take their GED, from kids, 18, 19-year-old kids to 50, 60-year-old adults who didn't graduate, that need something to get a job promotion, or they want to go back to school, or they just want to prove to their kids that, yes, I can graduate too, and have that goal and achievement. And then we, at the end of the year, we have a celebration in June over at Buffalo to honor all of our graduates and anybody who's got level gains or successes throughout the year. That could be their citizenship, that could be getting their driver's license, whatever successful that is them for an adult learner, because they can just come and go. We do have a lot of students that will come in, they get a job, they go leave, they come back, so it is a challenge to have the adults keep coming through, but we do a great job of getting as many adults through. And if you look at this year, we're already up 40% from last year. So people are coming back to class. Some new things we adding in this year, or have already added in. We hired Ryan as our new theater manager, for somebody to take control of our theater, our auditoriums in the district, so we can start troubleshooting and create more programming and opportunities in there. Having hosts at the high school, middle school for the events that kind of services all of the school events. So it doesn't matter if it's activities, high school, middle school activities, or community activities, just to have that customer service. Then this year at Eastview, we was a demand and need for EL services for our preschool and kindergarten students. So we partner with Cindy's grant and community ed to hire an EL teacher at Eastview that services kindergarten and pre-K, and offer a new family literacy class for young families to come into Eastview to learn English during the daytime. Finally, any questions you guys may have about our year, other than Jeff's reports he gives you on a month after we have our meetings? There you go, Jeff. You're off the hook for February.
I just have one quick question on the Northwest Talent Academy. You had 831 enrollments. How close is that to the maximum that we could handle?
We could go more. This year we're having, because they'll go anywhere, so some classes will be full, others won't. And we'll open registration for this year. We're doing 100 classes this year are being offered. And then we'll know by the middle of March how many actually run. So we could do more. And Janine and Leanne do a great job of trying to balancing it out and vetting through every proposal that comes in to make sure that we have enough space. I think when I scheduled out the facility for this year, I took up the whole first floor on the west side, and I had to go to the second floor. So I'm trying to be very conscientious of the custodians too. And then we also, because some of the site has to be left for summer school for the high school and special ESS summer school too. So we want to make sure that we balance all that stuff out. And then we do condense once we know what run and doesn't run, because we try to have a minimum of 8 students in every class to run. And then to still be conscientious of cleaning and doing all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, we could probably do probably 300-400 a week, so we still have room for more. We could double before we kind of get in. It's just what spaces are needed.
The timing of it.
Timing and what spaces are requested for the classes.
Okay.
And how many districts are invited to participate?
10.
And
And this year, we're going to try busing for 2 out of the 4 weeks. So we're charging a fee that parents can sign up. So that's something that we've been kind of batting around with the other districts of helping. Is there a way that people can kick in a small fee? It is $1,500 a week for one bus to run 3 different bus routes. So it's $4,500 a week to run transportation. So we're going to try to take another barrier away for kids to participate. So it's a long ways to come from Zimmerman to Monticello, or to come from Maple Lake or Foley to come down. So
it's just amazing how that program has grown also in just a very short amount of time, because when my kids were going through, they had to go all the way to Maple Grove to have those opportunities. So to have those here and offer them to the surrounding communities is really quite an accomplishment.
Yep, and a lot of the teachers that teach NWTA want to come back because they had such a good time.
And what grades are eligible for this again?
Grades 2 through 8 in your current grade.
2 through 8 in your current grade.
Yep, because registration will start on February 5th or 6th, wherever that Monday is. So.
And my understanding is they have to be recommended by their classroom teacher. Is that correct?
Yep, every district has the similar criteria, but each district will determine who is invited. Past participants are automatically invited to attend. But then I have a spreadsheet of, I'll have parents call, so, well, my one kid got an invite, my other kid didn't. Can they come? I go, nope. It was based on, do they have to take particular things? Nope. I said, once you're invited, you pick something that you like. And if it doesn't work, Janine works with those students and as parents to find a class that's going to fit for that student. We've not had to send a kid home because it wasn't the right fit. It just might have find a different class that's better aligns with their interests.
And I had a question about adult basic education. How many have we served in the last year, do you think?
I didn't pull up the individual numbers. I don't have those. I mean, I can get those, but we do.
Still roughly. Over 20, over 30?
Consortium-wide, we probably have 1,000 individuals. You know, everybody will do anywhere from, will come for 2 hours to 60, 70, 80 hours. It just kind of depends on the site. In Monticello, if you come in during the day, like Elizabeth could have anywhere from 0 to 12 participants. Julia at night's having anywhere from, like I was just in there, they had 4 or 5 students in there tonight. So it fluctuates, they'll come and go. So it's quite a few. Our family lit, we're having 8 to 10 to start the year. And then some have babies or they get jobs or it gets cold. So it ebbs and flows. We have a lot of families that come through the program.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Jeremiah. Appreciate
You're welcome.
Giving us your annual briefing. Moving on, we have building and program staff shout-outs. It looks like we have 3 of our elementary principals here today and our special education coordinator. I'll let you guys work it out among yourselves, which order you want to come up.
In order.
So it's super exciting to come up here and shout out a few teachers. It was our staff members. It was really tricky to pick a few, but my first one is Stacy Hughes. She's a special education teacher at the high school who supports students that mostly fit under the autism spectrum disorder, but services many as well. And she works on teaching those soft skills to many of our students. So those skills, those social skills that they're going to need to be successful, not only in school, but also post school. And the reason I'm shouting her out is she does such a great job of holding so many of those students to high expectations, but also scaffolding the supports that they need to get there. And she's a huge cheerleader, a huge advocate, but also, like I said, holds those students really accountable. And she creates lasting impacts on students, and there's so many students that come back and just talk about how they've changed the outcome of their lives. So shouting out Stacy Hughes from the high school. My second one is Sarah Sofer, our social worker at the middle school, coming in kind of fresh to the building. She has been such a good support for not only staff, but also students. So just really able to recognize when staff need support, and then also when those students need support. She has such a good job of seeing that big picture in the whole school, and how each individual kind of impacts that school, and how she can find paths and solutions to students to help them be successful. Those are my two.
Good evening. I am thrilled to give a shout out to Katie Horgan and Annie Miller, our two fabulous music teachers at Pinewood. Their dedication and passion for nurturing musical talents truly make a lasting impact on our students. These remarkable educators embody kindness, care, and inclusivity, ensuring that every student feels valued and encouraged. They have an exceptional ability to recognize the unique gifts in others. They inspire a love for learning through their patient and enthusiastic learning styles. Together, they form an extraordinary team that collaborates seamlessly, orchestrating a amazing musical performance that showcases the immense talent of our school community. We're incredibly fortunate to have such exceptional teachers shaping the musical journey of our students at Pinewood Elementary.
All right, tonight I have the privilege of honoring two amazing paraprofessional staff members at Eastview Education Center during Paraprofessional Recognition Week. First, I recognize, honor, and celebrate Ms. Lindsay Pagan. Lindsay is our nurse paraprofessional extraordinaire. She works tirelessly in our health office, caring for every learner in our Eastview community, from ages 3 all the way to 22. Lindsay possesses a calm, kind, and caring presence, and she responds with compassion to whatever is thrown her way. She's up and on her way as soon as the walkie-talkie pages her, and she's able to calm students down, ease their bumps, bruises, or icky tummy situations in no time at all. She's thorough in her documentation of health office visits and is on the ball with medication reminders and follow-up phone calls. Lindsay can be seen out front each morning helping students out of cars and greeting them with a good morning smile. She loves to laugh and brings a lighthearted energy to our office. In emergency situations, Lindsay's all business, responding with high levels of knowledge, professionalism, and care. We all feel a little bit safer knowing Lindsay's in our building each day, and we're truly grateful she's a member of our staff. Secondly, I recognize, honor, and celebrate Miss Kelsey Hines. Kelsey is in the mix with students all day long, whether it's in her role as a Title I paraprofessional or out on the playground as a recess supervisor. Kelsey knows nearly all the kindergarten students, and she is adored by all. As a Title I paraprofessional, Kelsey supports students in and out of the classroom with letters, sounds, words, and rhyme. She brings patience, kindness, and lots of giggles to her work. Kelsey knows the importance of helping students thrive at their own level, and she offers support, encouragement, and strategies for learning. She values every child for who they are and is a true champion for our youngest learners. This past week, Kelsey was on the team that worked tirelessly to complete one-on-one fast bridge early math assessments with all of our Eastview kindergartners. Patience cannot be underscored in what it takes for the team to complete nearly 250 math assessments in 4 days. Outside of the classroom, small group and assessment support, Kelsey's right in the mix of all the recess action, out on the playground every day. She helps keep safety and order to what may look like absolute chaos to anyone who drives by midday. She holds kids to high expectations for safety and respect, while making sure they're active and getting an energetic break from learning. Her dedication is unmatched, as was proven on some very chilly days this past week. We're so grateful for Kelsey's commitment to our school and our students.
All right, good evening. My first shout out goes to the LME kitchen staff. Much of this year they have been short-staffed or working through some staff turnovers, but through these challenges they continue to show up with smiles on their face and make sure that our students are fed. Joanne Swenson and her team are positive and make work fun. They participate in our school dress-up and theme days. They support our school activities and events, and then they find additional ways to connect with staff and especially our LME students. They're flexible and accommodating, especially on indoor recess day when students might show up a little bit earlier than usual. When you enter the kitchen, you can tell that these ladies enjoy showing up for work each day, and I just want to thank them for being such a positive part of our school climate. The next shout out, which could take me 20 minutes, but I'll keep it short, is for Kathy Hamill, our Dean of Students. Kathy has dedicated 33 years to District 882, and from the moment I met her, I've absolutely admired her positive attitude, her big heart, and her problem-solving abilities. Kathy is not afraid of a good challenge and has been known to comfort staff by saying, if there's a problem, we'll fix it. She can be found doing everything from organizing transportation, supporting our data study team, finding coverage for unfilled substitute positions, responding to behavior calls, supervising recess daily, and the list goes on. She was just mentioned in the district newsletter for her dedication to meeting our district's attendance goals and going above and beyond to work with families on the importance of school attendance. When I asked some of our staff to describe her in one word, most of them responded that that was impossible to only use one word. But here are just some of their responses. Genuine, caring, calm, thorough, adaptable, reliable, dedicated, authentic, amazing, optimistic, the glue of LME, honestly just the greatest person ever, and superwoman. Kathy's motto is, even a bad day at LME is a good day, and I believe that she is a huge part of why this is so true. Thank you.
Well, thank you to our elementary principals, and thank you also to Lynn Zachary for joining us tonight. It's always good to hear about the good things that we're doing. Sometimes public education, people have not so nice things to say about us, but when we have good things, we really make a point of highlighting our good people and our good programs. So thank you for bringing that this evening. Moving on to item E, we're going to discuss board compensation. We're going to have Tina Burkholder, our Director of Business, to give us a little bit of background, and then we'll fill you in on some more discussion that we've had.
Is this on? Okay. So previously with the board compensation in the past, we would look at the November CPI % index, and we would apply that for next year's board increase in their compensation. So it's very, reasonable, same procedure that we use year after year. It's not, giving yourself, oh, I think this year we deserve 10%, or this year we deserve what? It's, same process and procedure year over year. So I know you had a work session where you discussed school board compensation, where you wanted to keep it the same for now and maybe look at it in May as we're developing the budget for the following school year. But we also have school board membership compensation comparables from other districts through MSBA. And so there are some different stipends that they do or different things that they do. And one example is giving the board chair an additional monthly stipend for their responsibilities. So tonight, I think from the work session, you were considering doing a board chair stipend, but just giving you a little background of what I kind of inherited when I came in here 11 years ago and what the new process may be moving forward.
I think if you click on latest results, the tab at the bottom, it'll make more sense. So thank you for that background. We did have a discussion at our last work session. Last year, we froze our compensation, and for people that are wondering what we as elected officials make, it's about $300 a month. I think my take-home is $295.37. So that's where we're at. We use this comparison data here, and you'll see big districts such as Minneapolis and places such as Red Lake and some other folks really have some large numbers attached to their board service, and we certainly don't want to go there in our district. I'd like to turn it over to the board here to have maybe share what we discussed in our work session the last time that we met. Some discussion about that. Last year, we froze our compensation, so we haven't had any change.
Right, we left it the same last year and proposed to leave the same this year.
Can you pull your microphone up a little more?
And looking at a lot of the other districts out there, we are much, much lower, but it's also kind of a fine line. One of the big topics that we discussed was we want to make sure that we have people on the board that aren't just sitting here to try to make money or get paid on there. So we want to make sure that people are in it for the right reasons. We are substantially lower, but at the same time, we recognize with all the other cost impacts that all the other families see in the district, we held off on what we wanted to do again for the second year, so. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd say additionally, we discussed some of the financial constraints that have been talked about in recent board meetings with truth and taxation and some of the budget issues that we are regularly looking at, and to be responsible board members, why take an extra dollar out of here that we don't need to? We're all here because we believe in educating children, and if we don't need it and we're not here for it, then let's put it back in the classroom. That being said, we did talk about increasing the board chair. Our current board chair, Kathy Ziebarth, does a tremendous amount of work, and we all recognize that in our work session, and we appreciate what you do. And so where we ended last work session was that we wanted to see that net number go from $295 a month to, I believe it was $500 per month. So that would put her at, I was imagining based on where the net numbers, the gross numbers might be, that'd probably end up putting the board chair at about 7,000, maybe 7,500 for a gross number for the year with a $6,000 net.
So probably 500 a month, 575, somewhere in there.
Whatever it takes to get to the 500 net. I mean, we don't know what the gross numbers are yet. None of us paid attention to that, nor do we really care. But I don't think we want to end up seeing a bunch of taxes impact that check to where it ends up being 350, where we intended it to be 500. And I don't say that because I want to be the board chair next.
I guess my contribution to that was I'd at least like to break even on things like mileage and all of the out-of-district things that I do that are coming out of my pocket. I just handed Tina a bill for over $700 for the MSBA conference. So while it might seem like we're rolling in lots of money up here, we're really doing this for free, essentially. So we can scroll through the.
One other point too is we talked about, obviously Kathy has taken it to a new level at the board for a board chair. And I think we discussed also having some kind of parameters in the future.
Yep.
If you're not at a level that Kathy has set, then obviously we need to readjust the dollar amount that's being given to the board chair. So we haven't dove in really to those parameters yet, but I think we could probably figure out relatively easily some standards that are expected as, if you're going to get paid that much as a board chair, there are certain expectations that need to be met. If those expectations aren't being met, then I can have the board stipend like the rest of us.
I think if you scroll through this, you'll see that there are some districts also that have chosen to sort of piecemeal how they pay their board members. They pay them by the meeting or different structures like that. And as we talked about it, we thought that would be really cumbersome for our business office to keep track of, and we've kind of elected not to do that at this point.
Thank you, Kathy, for all of what you do. You do put in a lot of effort, a lot of work, so.
Try to do the right thing, you know, that's all we can, all any of us can do is do the right thing, so.
No one's ever going to want to be board chair now.
Just stay there, Kathy.
Well, thank you for your kind words. I believe we need to make an action item on this. Do we need to do it this meeting or carry it over to February?
We just make an action item on the other board's compensation. We'll put closure on that.
Well, you don't need to do an action item if you're not changing anything with
Okay.
board compensation.
Does she need to come up with a number before we do another vote, though, chair compensation?
Yeah, I think that's probably something you and Tina should probably sit down and work out and then present to us at a different time.
So the next meeting, then we would have that as an action item.
Because we get new payroll tables, tax tables for this calendar year, and we only pay the board at the end of the month. I can't really see, based on whatever you elect as withholding, what that estimate might be.
So then
CPA?
officially, we would be tabling this item to the February 5th or February 12th meeting. Which would you prefer?
Probably the 12th.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion that we table this. Second in a vote. Second by Casey. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So vote is 5-0 to table this to the February 12th meeting.
Yep.
Did I do that right? Robert's rules. Thank you very much, Ms. Burkholder.
Thank you.
Moving on to safe and healthy culture, we have second reading of policies with our Director of Human Resources, Rob Daniker. Welcome, Dan. Rob.
Either or, it's fine. Chair Ziebarth, members of the board. So tonight we have, we'll wait for our screen to click forward. There we go. All right, so we have 5 policies for second read tonight. So these are action items tonight. And I believe the board intention is to consider them en masse. So I'll just go through each one, and then after each one, I'll pause if there's any conversation or anything like that from the board. There'll be a pregnant pause there. So the first one is 413. This is the harassment and violence policy. And just a quick pause. These are all policies just for the public. These are all five of these policies are all on annual renewal cycles per MSBA. So that's why we're looking at these 5 tonight. So number 413, harassment and violence. The purpose of this policy is to maintain a learning and working environment free from harassment and violence on the basis of race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, age, marital status, familial status, status with regard to public assistance, sexual orientation, or disability, i.e. all of these are protected classes. There is a form that goes along with this policy for individuals to report. And it's a fairly straightforward form that individuals can complete if they feel that they have been the victim of harassment and violence, or to report it as happening to others.
And Rob, correct me if I'm remembering this right. A lot of these that we're going to go through tonight are very heavily mandated, the language, by the federal and state government. So we don't have a lot of freedom to make a lot of adjustments in these.
Correct. And while harassment and violence specifically is not one of those per se, there is a lengthy list of legal references and cross-references, which suggests that the board would be wise to make minimal changes, if any.
I don't think we made any.
No, I don't think we did either. We're not that brave.
All right. Our next policy for consideration tonight is number 414, mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse. And this is one that, as Chair Ziebarth related, there's a note on this policy that says, this policy reflects the mandatory law regarding the reporting of maltreatment of minors and is not discretionary in nature. The purpose of this policy is to make clear the statutory requirements of school personnel to report suspected child neglect or physical or sexual abuse. There is a form that goes with this one. This is the Minnesota Department of Education Confidential Student Maltreatment Reporting Form. This form is to be used when it is believed that the individual conducting the student maltreatment is a district employee. In that case, there's actually 2 reports that are made. One is to the county County Child Protection Agency, in this case Wright County, and then also the second report in a case where it's a school employee would go to the Minnesota Department of Education. If it's not a school employee, we are mandated reporters and are still required to report to the county.
Is there any discussion or question? Okay.
All right. Moving forward, our third policy is number 415, mandated reporting of maltreatment of vulnerable adults. Again, this policy reflects mandatory law regarding reporting maltreatment of vulnerable adults and is not discretionary in nature. The purpose of this policy is to make clear the statutory requirements of school personnel to report suspected maltreatment of vulnerable adults. While we are predominantly a pre-K-12 district, we do have from time to time students who are age 18 above who qualify as adults. We also from time to time will have vulnerable adults as employees.
Is there any discussion? Any questions for Rob? Okay, moving on.
Fourth policy for consideration is number 514. This is the bullying prohibition policy. The note attached to this one says school districts are required by statute to have a policy addressing bullying. It does provide for some leeway in terms of what that policy states. However, by and large, the board has moved to adopt the MSBA template on this. The purpose, and this is a little bit extensive, but I'll read through it. A safe and civil environment is needed for students to learn and attain high academic standards and to promote healthy human relationships. Bullying, like other violent or disruptive behavior, is conduct that interferes with a student's ability to learn and or a teacher's ability to educate students in a safe environment. The school district cannot monitor the activities of students at all times and eliminate all incidents of bullying between students, particularly when students are not under the direct supervision of school personnel. However, to the extent such conduct affects the educational environment of the school district and the rights and welfare of its students and is within the control of the school district in its normal operations, the school district intends to prevent bullying and to take action to investigate, respond to, and to remediate and discipline for those acts of bullying which have not been successfully prevented. The purpose of this policy is to assist the school district in its goal of preventing and responding to acts of bullying, intimidation, violence, reprisal, retaliation, and other similar disruptive and detrimental behavior. So implicit in the purpose statement there is twofold actions by the district. One, to be proactive to prevent it happening in the first place, and then two, to remediate and respond to it when it does occur.
And I believe we have these cross-referenced in all of the other handbooks as well. We've done a good job of connecting all of these, I think. So, any other comments from the board? Discussion? Okay, thank you.
Right. And fifth and final policy for consideration tonight is number 522. This is the Title IX sex non-discrimination policy, grievance procedure and process. General statement of policy is that the school district does not discriminate on the basis of sex in its education programs or activities and is required by Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972 and its implementing regulations not to discriminate in such a manner. The requirement not to discriminate in its education program or activity extends to admission and employment. The school district is committed to maintaining an education and work environment that is free from discrimination based on sex, including sexual harassment. This one is since we are accepting federal dollars as a school district in various ways, shapes, and forms, we are required to have a Title IX policy on the books, and we are also responsible to carrying out this policy to the effect that events should occur that fall under Title IX.
Any comments or questions from the board? Okay, thank you. So we will accept these all in a group. And this is an action item. So moving policy 413, 414, 415, 514, and 522. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Daniker.
Thank you.
And finding that we have completed our agenda, our next meeting will be Monday, February the 5th at 5 p.m., and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.